Hello, and welcome to another episode of Cosplay Colorado. I appreciate you tuning in, and please make sure that if you enjoy this video, or this podcast really, that you like this video, share this video amongst your friends, send that link all over Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, whatever social media platform you have, and I will do my best to keep putting out content that you guys enjoy. So thank you for tuning in. Thank you very much for sharing. And if you haven't already, again, please subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell so that way you can get updates every time I interview one of your favorite cosplayers. But otherwise, with that being said, welcome to episode 7.
You're listening to Cosplay Colorado, your source for cosplayer entertainment.
I have to make sure my microphones are on. I always have to double check because I had an episode that I ended up recording twice because I had a friend of mine on the podcast that was just it didn't get recorded right the first time.
Oh no.
All right. What's up, everybody? My name is Roger. I am going to be your host for today's episode, and welcome to episode 7. Today, we are here with these two wonderful people from the Planet Girls of Denver. We have Jamie and Jessica. Hello. How are you guys doing?
Pretty good. Good.
Now, Jamie, I know this is your first podcast, and you said you were a little bit nervous, but
Yeah.
I'm hoping we can break the ice a little bit, just a little bit.
Yeah, we will.
So for me, I actually work at Best Buy, and kind of going through and learning how to talk with people is really the biggest challenge of working retail, just because it's literally, I also get a little nervous around new people, and I'm a little antisocial. No, new people.
You said you people. Okay.
No, new yeah, cosplayers. But how are you two doing today?
Good.
That's awesome. That's great. Yeah, no.
So sorry in advance.
No, you're good. You're good. Hey, it works. But yeah, we'll dive straight into it. So, how long have you two been cosplaying?
You can go first.
I don't even know, really. I guess at least the last 5-6 years, maybe.
Okay.
Like
a little
actually
while.
cosplaying, 5 years, maybe.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
How about you?
Me, it's been, I guess, so Denver that was my third Denver.
Mm-hmm.
And that was, the first one was the first time I did it, so like 2.5 years-ish.
Nice. So,
I guess.
relatively new.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, how do you enjoy it so far?
Oh, I love it.
That's awesome.
I've always loved dressing up, so this just was a way to do it more often.
There we go. What would you say is the most difficult thing about cosplay?
Ooh.
I know every hobby, every passion has its own little hurdles.
Well, in what way? Because I would say if you're traveling with cosplays, the worst part about it is shoes.
Wow.
Ooh, shoes and like props and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's something I didn't even really think about.
Uh-huh.
Well, I went to Dragon Con recently, and I took like 8 pairs of shoes for 6 cosplays in my normal life.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. When I went to Kineticon one time, my suitcase was overweight.
Wow.
And
It's a lot of stuff.
Yeah, and I was cosplaying Sailor Saturn at the time, so I was like, guess I need to carry these on my person.
There we
so
go.
I was carrying my like big Sailor Saturn boots like on me.
That's
On the
awesome.
flight.
See, you should have just worn the costume through security.
Right.
make it a little bit easier.
Yeah.
I've debated sometimes, like, for, like, if it's, like, a close call, like, okay, well, what if I just wear it? But then I'm always
Yeah.
like, are they going to think it's super weird that I have a wig on?
Right.
Are they going to have to pat down my head?
I feel like they might actually.
Yeah,
They
like,
might.
because if you're through the one security where you have to stand,
Yeah.
and then if you have anything bulky, it registers. So I'm
Yeah.
sure they'd be like, sorry, we have to pat down your hair.
No, they probably would, because one con that I went to that had security, like, at the con, I had, like, hair clips in, and they had to take it out to, like, make
Wow.
sure that that's what...
Oh, I'd be so mad. I'd be like, you know how long it took me to do this?
I could only imagine like how difficult that would be. Yeah.
The best was this year at Denver when I was All Might. it's a bodysuit. Like, there was nothing for me to hide on me.
Right.
Yeah.
And they had to pat me down, and I'm like, really? Where do you think I am hiding something?
If you're concealing anything, it'd be bulging out of the suit. Yeah.
In your hair.
In my
those bangs.
That's how it's standing up.
Got massive machetes in there.
Watch out. I start swinging my head around.
You revealed your secrets.
Oh man, there we go.
anyone.
There we go. How to smuggle things into cons. Oh, that's awesome. But what would you say cosplay means to you?
Ooh.
It's a relatively big question, I know, but I know like with some people it's just a way to kind of express themselves, or just another way to kind of escape things. Like I had a friend of mine, I actually had her on my previous episode of this. She did cosplay for a little while, and it was literally just because one of her friends was like, hey, you should totally do this, and she tried it and she just loved it. It's just this thing that's a lot of fun. So what kind of makes cosplay for you guys?
For me, I prefer doing group cosplay.
Okay.
So I don't know. For me, it's like a way to share my like interests and stuff with my friends.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, I think it's a way just to be myself. Like, I
Definitely.
can just be that little kid who wanted to be a princess her whole life.
There we go. That's awesome. Yeah, and I know, like, I think it was this year, or this Denver Comic Con that just passed, you see a bunch of little kids running around in their own little, like, Halloween costumes, and they run into that one person that's just, like, bigger than them, actually, like, fits in with that character, and they're just staring at them like, it's them.
Oh, yeah. The last year for Denver, I made my Elsa costume, and I wore it to Denver. And I was walking back to my hotel, and I passed this restaurant, and the mom's like, Elsa. And I, like, go over, and she's like, can we take a picture? And I was like, yeah, of course. And this, like, little 2-year-old girl just, like, looked at me and was just like, and she's like touching my hair, looking at the snowflakes in my hair, touching my top, and the mom was just like, I'm so sorry. And I'm like,
oh, they
it's
always
fine, it's fine. And she wouldn't even turn around to take a picture because she was just so mesmerized, and she was like showing her mom the snowflake in my hair, and it was
That's awesome.
the cutest thing.
That is really cool. Let me see. So, what was your first cosplays, or what were your first cosplays?
Harley Quinn.
Harley Quinn?
Actually, I would say either Harley Quinn or Star. Those were the same convention, but technically I did Star first at that convention. But I had Harley Quinn before Star, so...
Okay.
I, like, don't know. Well, because I do princess parties. So the first time that I dressed up at a convention, I was Anna from Frozen.
Yeah.
But, like... I don't know if that counts as a cosplay because
see,
it's my job. So
And in
Fair
in that aspect, I actually had Anna before any of those because I wore it for Halloween.
Right? Yeah. No, I'm like Halloween.
But it's
costumes?
it's the same one that I still use for cosplay. So
yeah.
That's awesome.
So I don't know. Take your pick. Which one do you think?
Right.
Fair enough, yeah. It's a wide variety, relatively speaking.
Yeah.
What kind of got you guys into cosplay? Just like the pure joy of dressing up, or?
Yeah, well for me I think it's like a combination of like I was doing the princess stuff, but then also have been a huge like nerd and stuff my whole life. So I think the first convention that I went to that I dressed up, like I said, I was Anna because I had it and then was like, oh, I can do other things. Like, I can dress up as, like, all these other random things that I like, not just this, so.
Opened a door of opportunity.
Yeah,
kind of thing.
I think so.
I know for me, so I am a self-taught photographer, and for a little while I was a musician, and for me, once I, like, discovered something that just opened all these other things, it was, like, kind of like opening Pandora's box. It was just nonstop from there. Like, you could ask my family. When I first started learning how to play guitar, I was constantly waking them up at like 6-7 o'clock in the morning, just playing random riffs. Like so for me, I love heavy metal, so that's kind of all I would play when I was learning. And so I'd wake them up by playing Metallica, this Master of Puppets, all loud, all the way up in the volume, early hours in the morning. And my dad ended up growing to enjoy it a little bit, because at that point I was their alarm. My mom, she still values her sleep, and my brothers, well, not so much. They still badger me about it to this day. I just recently got engaged, and they're like, you don't know how she's gonna actually feel about you until you wake her up like early in the morning with your guitar. And I'm like, we'll get to that. So it's definitely something that I can understand. It's like when you're first getting into it, just seeing the whole other realm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. For me, what was the question?
What got you started in cosplay?
Oh, yeah.
But like,
a little bit of a tangent.
You were ready to answer. Like, for me,
I know. Wait, I was like, I think I know what the question is. But hold on, I'm just gonna go off on a
double
tangent
check
and just like talk about something random.
And that's okay. That's what we're here for.
So my friend Ed actually. So okay. I should start out. I've always wanted to go to San Diego Comic-Con. Like, I just, like, saw it, and I'm like, oh, my gosh, that's just, like, so cool. Like, it's so cool that people dress up, and it's just normal, and that's so fun. And then the first Denver Comic-Con that I went to, my friend Ed invited me, and I was like, okay, cool. And so I was trying to think of, like, characters I could be, and that's when I did Star Butterfly, and I made it, and I was super excited about it. My wand is like my favorite thing ever. And I just really enjoyed the atmosphere, just getting to be dressed up, having people like appreciate what you're doing.
Yeah.
And also I in the past have acted, and this was also kind of a way for me to further that love for acting and performing and stuff into something that doesn't require me to audition.
Oh, there we go. There we go. You get the part no matter what.
Yeah, I can be whoever I want to be.
That's
No one
awesome.
can tell me no.
Exactly.
I love that. I love that so much.
It's probably the best perspective. That's fantastic. Yeah, I know. So for me, I've always had like a fascination with cosplayers, and that's like one of my biggest things. Like, I started to develop this deeper appreciation for cosplay in general, because when I went to my first Comic-Con when I was out in Fort Lewis, and that's when I was like introduced into the world of Comic-Cons, and it was like the smallest con ever. I don't even know if it would technically be considered a con, but it's a whole other thing. But with my first actual Comic-Con with Denver Comic-Con, I started seeing all these people dressed up in all their costumes, and I was like, that is amazing. And in my head, like, I see all these people, they see like their favorite characters walking around the con, and they fall in love with it. For me, I like the process of things. So for me, I can really, like, I see people in their costumes, like, I wonder how they actually, like, how they decided to do that, how they got into building all of that, and like what made them decide to go for that character, and just started really snowballing and getting more into like, holy crap, these people put in a ton of time and effort into this. And that's one thing that I feel like a lot of people don't really understand. At least they're starting to nowadays, especially with seeing cosplayers and like everything done themselves. And you get random people that don't have that appreciation. They start going and tugging on costumes and things. I actually saw that at Denver Comic Con. There was a guy walking around. He had his cape kind of like flowing behind him. It was the coolest thing. And no fault to this kid, but he probably didn't know any better. He just runs and jumps on the cape.
Oh, no.
It was amusing, but I was also like, that probably took him so long to like actually put on there.
Right.
Like that would be an absolute nightmare.
Oh, yeah.
But what would your process look like for you to kind of building and creating your own costumes, if anything, or even just picking out a character? Is it just something that spur of the moment kind of thing, or?
So like I said before, a lot of them are characters that like I like that, you know, I might never be able to do. So mine are a lot of princesses, but like we'll start like Star Butterfly. The reason I chose her, I had never even seen the show. It was like played on the TV at my work, and I was like looking at her, and I'm like, I could be her. Like, she's blonde. Like, I kind of already look like her. Like, sure, let's do it. Looks like an easy costume.
Yeah.
So I started buying everything, and I started working on it. And while I was doing that, I started watching the show, and I actually fell in love with the show.
That's awesome.
But for me, some of the characters that I choose tend to be more of like, okay, either princesses or are they blonde, and can I get away with not wearing a wig?
That's awesome. Kind of keep it simple kind of thing, or?
Well, just wearing wigs, it's just a pain.
A bit of a hassle.
Sometimes. And honestly, I feel like if you can get away with doing your real hair,
Yeah.
it makes it look more authentic. I mean, nothing
Definitely.
against like really good wigs, because I have
Yeah.
really good wigs, but like my Harley Quinn, I look at pictures now and I really don't like my Harley Quinn, but people really loved it, and I think part of it was the fact that I used my hair and not a wig.
That makes sense, yeah.
So yeah, and then as far as builds go, those take forever for me. I start them and then I'm like, oh, this is taking too long. Like my Elsa took me months and months to finish, and I thought it was gonna get done in like a month, and it didn't.
How long did it take?
I started it, so I was gonna wear it for Halloween, so I think I started it in September going, okay, no, this is gonna take a long time because I want to hand sew sequins onto it. I didn't finish it until the following year, right before Denver.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a long time.
But I wasn't working on it straight. It wasn't
Yeah.
like I was like working on it every single day.
Oh, okay.
After Halloween happened and I didn't get it finished, I was like, let's put this on the back burner.
It'll get done.
Yeah,
when it's done.
and then I was like, oh, okay, I'm gonna finish this for Denver. And so I think I started on it like a month to a month and a half before Denver. So it probably took me 3-4 months to really completely finish.
Like all together.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not too bad.
No, it's not. It just was a very time consuming.
Yeah.
I hand cut the sequins for the top
Okay.
and hand sewed them on.
Wow.
And there's like tiny little sequins along the cape and the shirt.
Yeah.
And some like rhinestone work, and yeah, it
A
took
ton of work went into that.
Yes.
And patience.
And patience. Yeah.
I feel like that's like the number one virtue for anybody building or designing their own costumes or cosplays at all, is just patience.
Yeah. I tried to find a faster way to do it, and if you look at the back of my bodice, I tried hot gluing them on, and it looks like garbage. And I was like, no, I'd rather do this the right way and actually like it than just like jump ahead.
Throw it together.
Right,
Yeah. So it's on the back. It's hidden by my cape, so nobody sees it.
You're good. Hot glue is my best friend when it comes to cosplay.
That makes sense. Speaking of process, though, how did you all decide on who would be who in the Planet Girls of Denver?
It just happened.
It just kind of happened. Well, like I guess I kind of started the group, and I wanted to be Sailor Venus, so
There we go.
that's how that happened.
Just automatically chose it, volunteered yourself.
Yep. And then I met.
Fair though, if you're gonna start a group, of
Yeah.
course you're gonna choose the
You get
one
first
right.
pick.
Well, and I feel like most people like assume that Emily is the one who started the group because she's Sailor Moon,
Yeah.
and it's like.
And usually the moon is the leader.
Yeah, and I was like, oh no, I don't want
Yeah.
to wear that wig. Like, have fun.
That
Emily-
wig is massive, though.
Yeah.
Like, I've seen the photos on that Instagram. It's just huge.
Yeah.
And then I think with my interview with her, when she was on the show, she was saying that thing is like, it's as heavy as it looks.
Right.
Oh yeah, she
Like-
gets a headache most times
Yeah.
she wears it.
That is
I mean, and I do
insane.
princess stuff, and I do Rapunzel a lot, so.
I'm sorry.
So yeah, so like I knew what that wig would be. Also, I just really love Sailor Venus. So.
That's awesome. Okay.
But then and then Emily was the first one that I met, and she actually wanted to be Sailor Jupiter first, and then before we even like had anybody else, was like, actually, can I be Moon? I was like, yeah, of course. So yeah, and then I don't know, it just kind of.
Fontana
We had another.
had recruited Fontana as Mercury,
Right. We had another girl who was going to do it, and then she wound up moving before we even got to cosplay.
That'll put a problem in things.
So she was supposed to be Mercury, and then
mine was like last minute. I decided to be a part of the group because I don't necessarily really like Mars. She's grown on me, but when like the group was starting, because we had been messaging on Instagram a little bit about taking pictures as princesses together, and then she had posted on her story about her Sailor Venus costume, and I reached out and I was like, hey, where did you get that? Because I had been thinking about doing Sailor Moon, if for nothing else, so I can take pictures with my cat, because I'm cool that way.
There you go.
Cosplaying with your friends. That's what I'm saying.
She doesn't like it though. I force her. Sorry, this is who you're gonna be. You get to be the dragon that you're named after. It's fine. Her name's Toothless, if you didn't know.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. So I asked her where she got it, and she told me, and she's like, hey, like, I have a Sailor Moon group. We're looking for a Mars if you want to be a part of it. And I was like, I don't really want to be Mars. And then I thought about it, and I was like, no, like, it'd be really good for me to have friends in this community. Like, just do it, Jessica, just do it. So then I was like, okay, yeah, sure, I'll join.
That's awesome.
And then she's like a perfect Mars. Like, I don't think anybody else in our group would be.
It's just because I practiced.
See, now that sounds like every decision I've made that's ever helped me make friends. It's like, hey, you should go do this. I'm like, I don't like that, but I need friends.
I mean, yeah.
That's like, right now at work, literally the number one reason why I became friends with the people I work with is because I work with them. And then they started like, hey, let's go get, go hang out and go get like boba or something. I'm like, I don't like social gatherings.
I thought you were going to say you don't like boba, and I was about to walk out.
No.
You're done here. Flip the table.
No, I love boba. Luckily, so there's actually a boba place that just opened across the street from my job that I was introduced to by one of my other coworkers who just started there, and I have not stopped going.
Ooh.
It's been...
Is it over here?
No, not this Best Buy. I wish it was.
I was like, this Best Buy?
Because we'll go there right after.
No, the one that I'm talking... It's called...
Podcast over.
Right, there we go. End it. We'll all go. But the one that opened up is called Ding Tea. It's right off of Colorado and Mexico. Yeah.
I saw it on Instagram or something.
Yeah, it's actually really good. But it made me feel very old because I walked in. I'm 23 years old, and I walked in. But, hear me out. So this is how old this made me feel. I walk in, and you see all these like 13-year-olds, 14-year-olds just hanging out, and they're talking about how rough high school is. Like, you don't know life. Like, I haven't even reached like that peak yet, and I already know it's just going to get difficult from here. Like, you have no idea. And I'm sitting there, and the two that introduced me to that tea place are just saying like, yeah, high school's so hard. And I'm like, I've been out for 5 years.
I've been out quite a bit longer.
Yeah, it's that was probably like the only thing about like going to that tea place. I was like, I'm not sure I want to do that. But I went, and now they're planning on trying to go again. I'm like, I like going by myself because it's in and out. Mm-hmm. I don't have to really deal with massive crowds of people or young teenagers talking about their life problems. And I usually go in with headphones in anyway, so it's easier that way. But they're like, we should all go back. And I'm like, can we sit outside next time? Like, I don't know why, but just crowds always make me a little bit nervous. Mm-hmm. But it's a thing that I'm trying to kind of get over eventually.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. A little ways down the road, but we're making progress. But question kind of out of cosplay, where are you two from?
I'm from Colorado.
Oh, okay, Colorado native. Awesome.
Yes, Colorado native.
I'm from
That's
Connecticut.
my TikTok. I'm just kidding.
Colorado Tech.
There we go.
I'm actually from here. Everybody else should just leave. Just kidding. Don't at me. She's not kidding.
Let's say a lot of Colorado natives say they're kidding, but we know how you really feel.
No, you guys just need to learn how to drive in the snow.
I just don't drive, so I guess I'm not the offensive
But
one.
you're also from a state that has snow. Okay, not that California doesn't have snow, but
You have to drive pretty far for it. So I moved here from California. I was 8 years old. So when I learned how to drive in Colorado.
Okay.
So it's like I drive like a Colorado native, and I know how you feel like when you're saying that, because it's like, okay, Texas, stop spinning out.
there is driving too slow.
And then driving recklessly.
Like, people, okay, be cautious. Definitely be cautious when it's snowing. Don't drive too fast, but don't drive too slow, because then you're going to cause accidents as well.
So, what was it, like last
I'm very
week?
passionate about this.
Oh no, I completely. So it was like last week we got our first snow of the season, right? There was this guy on my way to work who the snow wasn't even really sticking in this part of the street. It's literally just like wet. It's not even cold enough for it to freeze. It's like 45 degrees. It's gloomy, and you can see snow coming down, but none of it is sticking. This guy, I kid you not, is driving 15 miles an hour in a 35 mile an hour zone.
Yeah, I was that guy.
Yeah, I was, so I try to not fit the stigma. So I have a very big truck, but literally the biggest reason is because I like to drive in the snow. It's fun for me. But I'm sitting there and I try to not be that guy in the big truck, but there's another lane open and I drive a stick shift, so I have to gear down, and I just immediately just revving the engine. I'm just passing him. I'm just down the street. And I'm just like, I'm trying not to yell at him, but as soon as I pass him, I'm looking over. I'm like, learn how to drive. And it's this little old dude just like freaking out. And I'm like, I kind of feel bad now. And then I don't feel bad because I realize this dude looks like he's been driving in Colorado for all his life, and now he's panicking. But
I mean,
yeah.
I get it. I get it. I get the fear. Like, it's terrifying spinning out. I get it. Or feeling like you're going to crash. But when you are that person that is making people have to slam on their brakes, like, they are just going to end up hitting you.
Exactly.
That's why just drive with caution. Don't drive too fast. Don't even drive the speed limit if you don't want to, but like, don't drive too slow.
Well, the worst part is not only is he going slow, but I'm already coming down, like, to your point, I'm coming down the road and he changes lanes right in front of me last second. That's when I had to slam on my brakes. I'm like, dude!
Don't do that.
Yeah, I've had that happen on a pass, actually.
Oh, that's horrible.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like probably one of the sketchiest passes to do. There's this pass out in, or near Durango. I forget what it's called. I think it's like Red Mountain Pass. But that... I drove in the middle of a blizzard because one of my friends was graduating from college down there. So me, my fiance, and a bunch of our friends decided we're going to drive down there. Now, this is before they decided to put guardrails on the side of the mountain. No, yeah, I don't know why they didn't decide to do that beforehand, because it's literally like a 200-foot drop off the side of the mountain. Like, I'm coming down, I can't see farther than like 5 feet in front of me, so we're going very slow. My friends are like, we should pull over. I was like, there's literally nowhere to pull over. If I pull over, we might fall off.
Yeah.
Like, I'm pushing through. So I push through, and we finally make it to this place that we were renting out for the weekend. And I turn around and I look, and at the time I was driving this tiny little Jaguar, so I have like maybe 4 inches of ground clearance. And I turn around and I realize I had literally carved my own path through the snow somehow. Like, I don't know how we did it, but we literally, like, that snow came up to like midway of the car when we opened it up to try and get out to get the keys. And I was like, oh, cool. Go luck.
Wow. Yeah.
It's fun. Yeah, I'm never gonna do that again. It was terrifying. I mean, even in my truck now, I'm like, I know I can probably do it, but am I going to? I'm not gonna risk it.
Yeah.
Like, that was horrible. Like, I'm definitely a lot more cautious about like the way I drive in weather now.
Yeah.
It's fun, but it's also like, I don't want to die.
Yeah, you just have to have the right mindset and just be aware of what you're doing.
Exactly.
And your surroundings.
Or just don't drive.
Or if
like
you...
me. Like, a little bit of snow falls, and I'm like, well, guess I live
Guess I'm
wherever
calling
I am.
out today.
Wherever I am. Yeah. Well, luckily, where I nanny, and the mom actually works from home.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, so...
Just
and
tell the mom,
she's
hey,
from
so
Georgia.
can you adopt me today?
No, she's from Georgia, so she totally gets it.
That's awesome.
So, like, yeah, like this last snow that we had last week, I did not go in.
Yep.
They live 15 minutes from me. Like, there was no way. And she knew too. Like, she was just like, okay, I see a flurry. I guess you're not coming. And I was like, that's right.
You are correct in your assumption.
Hope the girls enjoy Paw Patrol this morning.
I wish I could do that with my child.
Yeah.
See, that's one of like the greatest parts, but the worst parts about working retail. Because like, so the snow started falling and my truck didn't want to start. I've been having issues with it lately. And I was like, well, if it doesn't start, I'm not going to work. It hadn't even snowed that much. It was maybe 2 inches outside. And I was like, well, guess I'm calling out today. Because I like to enjoy that. Like, I don't drive. I like to not drive in the snow because I like to be out in it and enjoying it. I don't snowboard or anything. I just like walking and hearing and seeing it. But I'm out there and I'm just like, okay, well, I'm going to try to get my truck started. If it starts, I'm going to work. If it doesn't start, I'm not going to work. And I was trying very hard to make it go so I wasn't going to work. I go in and I crank the key for like a half second and it starts right up. I was like, why didn't you do this morning? It was just my luck. It was absolutely horrible.
Yeah.
All right, well, I have a little bit...
Where is Jamie from?
Oh, yeah.
I'm from Connecticut originally.
Yeah. That's awesome. So the reason why I say that is because I've been trying to convince my fiance to move with me to the East Coast because the fall colors on the East are just to die for.
Yes, I just went home for my best friend's wedding, and I was like, thank you for having your wedding in October.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I miss the fall there so much. It's just not the same anywhere else.
Yeah, and that's what's funny. Nothing against native Coloradans.
No, it's fine. We have yellow. That's it.
Yeah, and that's so. I was having this conversation with my friends and my coworkers. They're like, yeah, I want to move out there for the fall colors, and like, we have colors here. And I'm like, no, you have 2 colors. No, I know. Like, dead and yellow. That's it.
And it's different. Like, I don't know. My husband and I, when we were back in Connecticut, we kept on being like, look at all the trees.
No,
like,
I would be the same way. Like,
oh, yeah. It's gorgeous.
I love when the aspens change colors. Like, I think it's beautiful when they change colors. But I love the reds and
that deep orange.
Yes, like it's so beautiful.
See, another big reason for me is I am huge into horror movies, so ideally I want to move to Massachusetts into like the woodsy areas. Or
anywhere in New England, really.
Anywhere in New England,
yeah. Move to Chicago, it's where Chucky is.
I am more of a fan of Stephen King.
I just saw it too.
I haven't seen it yet. I've been meaning to.
Stephen King's in it.
Seriously?
Wait, really? Yeah.
Oh my god, all right.
Yeah, I'm like watching it and I'm like, I think that's Stephen King. I was like, no, that's Stephen King.
I have work literally right after this, but I might call out just to go watch it too.
You can't record yourself saying that.
I can record it, it's fine. I'll just cut it out maybe. Or just let them hear it.
So no, then you need to move to Maine.
Exactly, that's why I was going to say. I was thinking Massachusetts because when I was younger, I had this huge obsession with the Salem witch trials. Like, I used to be a huge history buff, and then I told my fiance, let's move to the East Coast. She was like, only if it's in Maine. And I was like,
Maine
I can take it.
It's one of the places I want to visit.
Maine, Vermont.
I've never been to Maine. I want to, though.
Yeah, so for me, all over the East Coast, because I've been to Massachusetts, and I love Massachusetts. I actually, like, my family and I went out there when I was, like, 16. We went I argue probably the worst time, because it was, like, right in the middle of winter. And we walked out, and winter on the East Coast is a whole different animal. Like, Colorado's cold, but East Coast winter, it's literally bone chilling.
Oh, yeah. Like it's not cold here at all.
Yeah, we call it bone chilling here, but it literally out there, we were bundled up like crazy.
Yeah, no one calls
people
it
that aren't from here.
I'll fight them.
I will too.
No, like so for me, being from California, moving here, it was cold, and then when we went to the East Coast, it was like we were all bundled up like crazy. You could still feel it, like literally down to your bones.
Yeah. It's the humidity. It's because Colorado has no humidity.
Yeah, it's insane. But I want to move out there. It's gorgeous out there.
Did you go to Salem when you were there?
No, I actually ended up going to Boston, just going around just really exploring the area more than going to anything. Well, I went to the Sam Adams Brewery. That was awesome. But unfortunately, I wasn't 21, so I couldn't actually enjoy the Sam Adams Brewery. But otherwise,
it was still cool. Breweries are still fun.
It was a lot of fun. Like I feel like a lot of people just avoid breweries until they're 21 to go on those tours so they can drink there. It's like, no, like go and see the process before. You can't appreciate it if you're just going there to drink. You got to go there to see everything.
One of my chemistry classes in college, they would go on tours of the Coors Brewery.
That's
cool.
awesome.
For the reason of the chemistry and stuff.
That's really cool.
I want to do that now. But yeah, no, that's... The East Coast is always... Like, I've never really imagined myself living over there, but up until recently, I started, like... Again, I started getting more and more into horror movies when I was, like, 13 years old, because my mom... And this is no offense to you, Mom, if you're listening. Kind of scared the living daylights out of me when I was like 12 years old. So what ended up happening was
the year before.
Yeah, it was literally the year before. And it's what fascinated me. So I was 12 years old and I was really, really bored. And I found this movie, 13 Ghosts. And
oh my gosh!
Yeah. And so I remember like looking at my mom like, what's this movie about? She's like, you don't want to watch it. It's like, yes, I do. She was like, it's rated R and it's super scary. I was like, okay. She was like, all right, let's watch it. Because it was about to be my birthday. And I was like, cool, let's do it. So put on 13 Ghosts. I was not the same since. Like, that scared me so bad.
No, it's such a weird movie. It's this house, and it's like a glass house, and there are different ghosts that are like, or spirits, or poltergeist. I don't even know. I don't even feel like they're really ghosts.
Not really.
They're
no.
like, they're just like weird people. And they're all secluded in like their own rooms, and then the doors start going up and they start getting released. It's been so long. I watched this movie when it came out in high school.
It was
like,
such a good movie.
Yeah. People doing the math out there.
Yeah, no, like, so that experience. There we go. Yeah, that experience when I was like 12 years old freaked me out. Like, I remember feeling a whole other level of scared that I had never felt in my entire life. And then it started making me more curious about scary movies, and I started like chasing that adrenaline rush. Now every time I go and see a scary movie, it's like, this was nothing. Like when I went to go watch it, I did more laughing than anything.
Oh, I laughed through the first one and this one.
Is it really that great?
One too?
Oh, that's awesome.
I don't want to say too much. What I will say is I liked the first one better.
Fair enough. I keep hearing that, but I hear the second one is still pretty good for what it is.
Yeah, I mean, it's not bad. I did enjoy it. I did laugh through a lot of it, but
yeah. that was me in the first one, especially in the dancing scene.
Well,
I lost
everybody laughed because like what?
I think they meant to do that as like just comedic relief.
No, I think they did.
They had to have.
Yeah.
I haven't even
because,
seen it,
because
and
a
I've
lot
seen
of, well, and even this one, it's not like just a straight scary movie.
Okay.
Either of them.
Yeah.
Like it's just not pure horror.
Yeah,
it's
if
not.
you watch the original one, it's more thriller than anything. It's like, this is what's happening. Mm-hmm. Like, I think it's only scary if you put yourself in like the kid's position. Like, if you're the one being chased by Pennywise, then it's terrifying.
Yeah.
But otherwise, it's like you're keeping yourself on the edge of your seat because there's just so much going on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's my favorite thing about it. Mm-hmm. The funny thing is he feeds off of fear according to the books, and it's hilarious because when I'm watching this, my fiance, she's like, oh my god, like jumping at all the jump scares, and I'm sitting there like, ha! I'm pretty sure I upset a lot of people in the theater because it's literally like a lot of the things that were supposed to be scary I found absolutely hilarious.
Because I laughed a lot. I went and saw the first one twice in theaters.
Yeah.
And this one I just saw in theaters, and I laughed.
Yeah, exactly. Like
all times that I've seen it, like the second one and the first one, I was laughing through a lot of it. Just like, not like a comedy.
Yeah,
like I'm not like just like.
It's just what's happening in that moment is funny.
It's just like okay.
Yeah,
like wow.
Pretty much, yeah. All right, moving away from horror movies. Before I could talk about horror movies all day. Like that's literally my most favorite. The only thing that I love more than horror movies is the Harry Potter movies, and that's to an extent. I have my limits. The books were so much better, but still,
were so much better.
Like I can talk about that all day too. But we'll move on from that.
For a different podcast.
There we go. We can start a whole other podcast just all of us talking about horror movies and how Harry Potter. Some of the movies all of them, kind of got a lot of the stuff wrong. But
Hey,
we'll
okay.
get in there.
But have you seen a Harry Potter musical?
I have not yet.
No.
Did someone say Draco Malfoy?
You need to watch it.
I'm definitely going to have to find it now.
We saw Harry Potter cosplayers at NondisCon and then
Okay.
started like quoting Harry
Oh,
Potter
no.
musical, and we were like, we should cosplay Harry Potter musical, and we're like, well, I guess people would just think that we're cosplaying Harry Potter,
But it would be amazing because we
There we
would just
go.
quote it all the time.
It's so good.
And I'd roll around on the
Yes,
ground.
of course. You'd be a perfect Draco.
Now I have to watch this.
So good.
I'm definitely going to have to look it up.
Yeah, I just rewatched it recently, and I forgot like that it was made in like 2009.
Okay.
So like, yeah,
I know it's crazy how long it's been.
Yeah, so like the quality, like, because especially like when I first watched it, it was like on my laptop,
Me
like,
too.
you know, so like it looked fine.
Yeah.
And then now, like, I watched it on my TV and was like, oh, it's so pixelated and whatever, but it's still amazing.
I should watch it
Stands
again.
up.
It's been a long time since I watched it. I listen to the music all the time.
It's
but
so good. It's really
That's
good.
awesome. Yeah, I'm definitely going to have to look it up.
yes.
All right, so I do have more personalized questions here.
Okay.
So these are for Jessica. You are a self-taught seamstress, right?
I am.
How long have you been sewing?
Okay, the first time I sewed something, I was like in middle school, and I guess I'm not completely self-taught because my grandma was the one who kind of like
Showed you the ropes.
in a way. I mean, we sewed the most simple like dress ever, but she like helped me with that. But everything that I'm doing now is extremely more complicated than that dress was. And all of this has been self-taught. So everything that I'm doing has been self-taught. I would say my Elsa is actually the first thing that I sewed completely on my own. And I don't know why I chose something so complicated to do for my first thing. But it taught me a lot because it was a lot of stuff I had no idea what I was doing. And I think that's also why it took me a little bit longer, because I was like doing boning and lining, and then I was hand sewing on top of that, and like doing the slit thing, trying to understand what this instructions are telling me to do, like rereading it and going, I don't know what this wants me to do. I don't understand. This picture doesn't help me.
All the instructions ever.
Seriously. So that was 2 years ago. Yeah. No.
So for about 2 years now.
For about 2 years, yeah.
That's awesome.
I've been, impressed myself with what I've been able to do.
That's always good. Set your goals for yourself.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird because people talk about being a seamstress, and to me, because I haven't been doing it that long, I feel very much like I'm an amateur seamstress. Like I'm still trying to learn things, but people think that my stuff is really good, and so that's good for me, but it's just really weird because I don't feel like I'm necessarily that good.
That makes sense. I feel like that's the way for like a lot of artists in general. It's just like you feel like you have so much room to improve, but you get like outside perspective. Like, no, that is really, really good. That's like with me as a self-taught photographer, there's always something to learn. I don't think I'm all that great, but then I have people like, hey, can you take my photos? I'm like, they're not gonna look good, but sure. And then I take the photos. Oh, we love them, and I'm like, all right. I mean, I'll take it. Sure, why not?
Yeah.
So I definitely know where you're coming from that. I know you said Sailor Mars isn't exactly your most favorite character, but what's it like being Sailor Mars for the Planet Girls?
It's a lot of fun, actually, because Emily, I just love being able to, like, tease Emily. And
Fair enough.
yeah.
Having that opportunity is always fun.
We have, like, a really good dynamic in general, just, like, our friendship, and so it's fun just to be able to be, like, oh no, I'm the most important character. I just know that like nobody's really taking offense to it because like I'm Mars and it's a joke and
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Let me see. So you're also an eye doctor as well.
I am.
How long have you been an eye doctor?
I have been an eye doctor. I graduated in 2015, so
Nice.
4.5 years.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Now, if you had to choose between being a cosplayer and being an eye doctor for a career, which would you choose and why?
Cosplayer. No, I love being an eye doctor. I am a very sciencey person, so there are a lot of aspects that I do enjoy about that, but I'm also a very creative person, and something that I've realized after I graduated optometry school and started being an eye doctor full time was that I was really missing out on that creative aspect of my life.
Yeah.
In undergrad, I did theater, and I almost minored in theater, but I was already doing a double major, and I was like, no, Jessica, you're doing too much. Like, just chillax.
Know your limits.
Yeah, but I was taking a lot of theater classes on top of everything else I was doing. And so I think with that, I never really felt that separation. And then optometry school, I was just like so focused, like, no, you got to make it through this.
Yeah.
But with my theater background, it actually helped me with some of my aspects of optometry.
Yeah.
Especially in optometry school, for some of our practical testing, it's very much like you have a script and you follow the script and you do what you're supposed to do. And so I would score really high on those because I knew that script like nobody's business. But then, once I graduated, I was just, going full head and being an eye doctor, and I almost like the creative stuff more than I do.
Yeah.
Not that I don't like my job. I like my job. I love creating things. I love sewing, making new things. And if I could, I would like to do that more full time.
That makes sense. Because I know when I was trying to find questions to ask you both, I found a post that you had made when you dressed up as Superwoman or Supergirl.
Oh, yeah, I just posted that, yeah.
Yeah. That sounds like an awesome story. Did your theater skills kind of like help play a part in that? Or?
No, because just even though I'm dressed up, I'm still being
a little bit more on
my doctor self.
You'd be Dr. Supergirl.
I could be. But it was a really, and after I saw the note, I was like, oh, I know who this is. And I forgot that I was Supergirl. And then when the mom told me, I was like, oh, my goodness. Because, she came
reminiscing.
in. Yeah, the patient came in and was like, oh, it's Supergirl. Yeah, you're right. See? I'm not so scary.
There we go.
I'm not even dressed up like a doctor.
Cool. I'm not a regular doctor.
I'm a super doctor.
There we go. Now, in that sense, super doctors for some people might just be super scary, but that's besides the point.
No, it's true. There's a lot of people who are very, very scared of doctors, and I'm just glad that this whole situation just happened to work out for this patient. That they were able to get over that just a little bit.
Yeah, that's awesome. That is really cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, Jamie, you ready?
Yes.
All right, so you said you were a Navy wife.
Yes.
First,
I am a Navy wife.
You were.
You are. Sorry.
I'm still one.
So, yeah, I'm just jumbling around here. First, I want to say thank you, and thank your significant other for their service as well.
Thanks, Dave. Yeah.
I'm huge into that, and I feel like especially like the families of people who are serving don't get enough credit because you're putting in a lot of work with that as well, and it's a whole other world. So thank you, thank you both, and you guys definitely don't get enough praise. Like,
Thank you.
It's an awesome thing. But jumping into this, you've moved around a bit.
Yep.
You, according to your Instagram page in our earlier conversation, you've lived in Connecticut, Virginia, and now Colorado.
Yep.
Now, what's your favorite state out of the three?
Oh, I don't know my favorite state out of the three. Because, I lived in Virginia Beach, and I liked Virginia Beach, but I wouldn't say, Virginia is my favorite state. Sorry, Virginia.
Makes sense. There's some aspects you like about it.
Right. And then, I guess, I don't know.
What if you just choose the area that you lived? What was your favorite? Virginia Beach?
Maybe Virginia Beach, because we lived in walking distance to the beach. So,
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool. I have a relatively small, and when I say small, I mean large fear of large bodies of water.
Oh, really?
So that would freak me
Oh,
out.
no.
Yeah, and I'm right now, I'm in the middle of trying to figure out whether or not I'd be able to go on this cruise with my fiance. 'Cause right now she works on a cruise ship, and she's trying to get me onto that. I'm both excited and I'm also like, don't try too hard. I don't want to die.
Right.
So that's
Yeah.
I'm excited, but I'm also like, I'm gonna be inside all the time. I don't want to look at the water. I don't want to hear the water. Like, it freaks me out.
Oh, see, and that's like the opposite for me.
Yeah. Like if I hear the water and I know I'm not anywhere near it, then it's soothing.
Right.
But if I'm on a boats enough freak me out. But if I'm on a boat and I feel the motion and just like hearing everything, I can almost guarantee most of the time I'm on there, I'm going to be panicking.
Oh.
Like it just sounds horrifying. For a lot of people it sounds like fun. For me, I'm like, I'll pass if I can.
Do you not swim?
So I can swim. I learned how to swim when I was little. I don't swim very well because I'm also asthmatic. So if I go for extended periods of time, my chest just hurts. Like it's like in any other like physical thing, I just can't breathe very well, and like I start wheezing. I just take an inhaler and call it good and keep going. Swimming for some reason for me is just super, super different. I can start swimming and then like 20-30 minutes into it, my chest will just start hurting and I have to get out of the water because it just goes like straight to hurting and not breathing. I'll take my inhaler and then I'll be fine for like 5-10 minutes, but if I get back in the water, that doesn't last long.
Right.
Maybe it's the pressure of the water
I think
on
so.
your chest.
Yeah, I think so. But
Not that it puts that much pressure, but you still feel it. It's still surrounding
it's
you.
still
Right.
definitely
It's
a difference from like
and
just,
you don't feel like you can like get a full breath.
yeah,
or
and I feel
something,
like that plays a huge
Yeah.
part in why I don't like being in water because I can't breathe.
I mean, that's fair.
But the next question I have is, so you both have acting histories then. That's
Yes, we
awesome.
do.
How long have you been acting?
She's more of a professional actress than I am. I am a very amateur compared to her.
No, you're wonderful. I forever, I guess. I acted professionally.
Okay.
Professional.
Still.
There's the title
matter.
itself.
No, I know.
But that's what I did. That's what I went to school for.
That's awesome.
And then I'm lucky because I knew when I was graduating college that I was going on tour. Like I already had a job lined up, so that was cool. So that's what I did that for a while. And then I transitioned into like the princess party stuff.
Yeah.
Because it was, I don't know, easier to be my own boss and to not have to like go and into the
follow
city and
someone else.
auditions all the time. So it's kind of like what you were saying too.
But no one can tell me no. That's awesome.
Right. No, and it was just like a more, I'm very lucky that when I was acting as a job that like I had jobs all the time, which was really great. And but like starting my own business and everything, it was a
definitely.
little more secure as far as like, okay, I know that I'm going to have at least one party every weekend. I started when Frozen came out, so I had a lot of parties every weekend. Yeah.
It's like nonstop at that point.
Right, and and I sing too, so it was So starting the business like when Frozen came out and being able to sing the song, and that's how I wound up doing it. I had a bunch of like singing gigs too, and I Frozen had just come out, so I sang Frozen, and all the moms were like, do you do princess parties? And I was like, I guess I do now.
There we go. You see the market, you take it.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What got you into acting?
I'm very dramatic. No.
Fair.
I'm not really sure. I've been like singing, acting, dancing since I was like 3. So
that's awesome. So it's always been kind of like an interest and growing passion.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's really cool. All right. Now, you're a self-proclaimed nerd according to your Instagram bio.
Yeah.
Now, what would you say you nerd out about the most?
I mean, Sailor Moon, probably.
I was gonna say Love Live.
I also really enjoy Love Live.
That makes sense. What's your favorite part about either of those? Like, what makes it so amazing to you?
Well, for Sailor Moon, for Sailor Moon specifically, like, I've loved Sailor Moon since I was, like, a child.
Yeah.
And I think that was probably one of the first things that I got, like, obsessed with. Like, I was obsessed as a kid. So I think that, and then for both Sailor Moon and Love Live, the friendship and stuff, like, in the shows. And
that's awesome.
Yeah.
That is really cool. Awesome. Well, I have a fan question from Omega Shrine Cosplay, but I accidentally asked it earlier. It was, how did they get into cosplay? Gotta love a good origin story. But we did answer that question earlier.
Yeah.
But as far as my final question, if you could give the listeners any piece of advice, cosplay or otherwise, what would you say?
Do you want to go or do you want me to go?
Rock, paper, scissors. It's the best way to solve anything.
Wait, our biggest advice?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, mine would just be, like, just have fun. Like, I don't know. Do whatever, like, as long as you're having fun, don't worry about, like, what other cosplayers are doing, or, you know, like, if you can't, like, I'm not the best sewer, like her, like, she's the best sewer. You know, so I wind up getting a lot of help and piecing a lot of stuff together.
Yeah.
But I know that, like, there are other people who compare themselves to other cosplayers who do make their own, like, everything is completely made, and, like, it doesn't matter as long as you're having fun and enjoying what you're cosplaying and, you know, like, having fun. Like, that's the most important, I guess.
Okay.
Sorry, that
awesome.
was kind of...
No, you're good. You're good.
Have fun.
It's the most important thing, yeah.
I would say just be yourself. And in really anything, I feel like as humans, we feed off of what other people say or do so often, and we're always looking for approval in one way or another, even if we're not meaning to or actively seeking it out. We are. But I feel like one of the biggest disservices you can do for yourself is to not be yourself, because then you're never going to be truly happy.
Yep.
Even if you're doing everything, like, perfectly, or, you know, you have the perfect job and the perfect, quote-unquote, perfect life and everything. If it's not what you're truly wanting for yourself or true to who you truly are, and you're just doing it because that's what society tells you you're supposed to do, or what somebody else tells you you're supposed to do, you're not going to be truly happy.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense. That got really deep.
I know, because I have a lot of thoughts sometimes.
Philosophical. Very philosophical.
I go through a lot of stuff, so
Yeah.
I feel like that's one of the biggest things that I still struggle with, is just trying to figure out who I am and what makes me happy, and how to be myself in a world that maybe won't necessarily fully accept a grown woman who wants to be a Disney princess.
Nothing wrong with that. That's what I love about, like, everything that's becoming, like, more and more popular with cosplay. Because for me, I never knew cosplay existed up until, like, 6 or 7 years ago, maybe a little bit longer. And that's when big names started popping up, like Jessica Nigri, Yaya Han, all those other people. And that's when I was like, why are they dressing up and just posting random photos? And, like, people are going crazy for it.
Yeah.
And then I was like, what the hell is San Diego Comic-Con? And then I started exploring and doing a little bit more research and finding all of these things. And there's definitely two sides to that coin. There's the whole cosplay community. You have the Comic-Cons and everything, and it all looks all fine and dandy. But then there's the other side where everybody has their own struggles. People get put down for what they're trying to do. Mm-hmm. It's definitely a challenge for a lot of people, and that's what I'm hoping to try and start doing more with this podcast, is try and inspire people. That's why I bring in local cosplayers rather than people who are, like, really big and well known, is because with local cosplayers, you know the community, you know the people that are in this area, you all dress up, you talked with each other, and now you have your own group. A very successful group, by the way, which I think so. I'm trying to remember. I think I started following Emily on Instagram a while ago because I started getting really big into cosplayers on Instagram. Mm-hmm. And I found her. She was like, yeah, I just moved to Colorado. And I was like, oh, cool, local cosplayer. As a photographer, I was going to try and see if I could set up like a photo shoot or something. And I had like literally one photo shoot for cosplay under my belt, and that was with Omega Shrine. And that was a lot of fun. But I found one small problem. I am not really all into all that, like all pop culture stuff. So I'm not very well versed in a lot of the things that go on. So I'm like, I don't watch anime as much as I used to, so I don't recognize the characters, and I can't really speak to a lot of the things that are being cosplayed. And I'm like, maybe I'll just start a podcast.
Yeah,
I think it's great.
I do too.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate that. Yeah, and that was like one of the things like when you guys first started as the Planet Girls of Denver, I was like there from the beginning and seeing like all that growth and just seeing like that friendship blossom out of all of you. It's awesome. And as one of your followers, it's really great to see this more of a humanized version of cosplayers rather than get me money.
Yeah.
Because I think it was you guys were posting about like the Planet Girls sleepover at one of the cons.
Oh,
and
yeah.
that looked like it was a huge success.
Yeah.
Like just seeing that video was like there's a whole world of people that like we were saying earlier, we just want that kind of affirmation. And I feel like you guys do give that to a lot of your audience.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, the sleepover was fun. A lot of people came.
I know, I was surprised that we had a line.
And they loved it. Everyone loved it and was just like, thank you for doing this. We're like, I don't really do anything. No.
Exactly. And that's the best part. You're just being yourselves and it works out.
With the DVD player for like 10 minutes.
Yeah, we had some technical difficulties, but...
That's to be expected.
Nobody really even... cared.
No, except for those. I don't think they even really cared. They just wanted to watch Sailor Moon if we could. I could Sailor Moon.
That's awesome. Well, thank you very much for joining me on this episode.
You.
I'll figure out a title for this eventually, but thank you very much for coming in. We appreciate your time.
A Tale of Two Cities.
Oh, and before we log off,
I don't know.
Before we sign off, go ahead and tell them where they can find you too.
Instagram, Dr. Jessica Lewis, or IDOC _cosplay are both of my Instagrams. And then Planet Girls at Planet Girls Denver.
Yep.
And then
I'm just Whimsical Wishes cosplay, I think. Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
yes, you are. All one word. Nope.
Whimsical Wishes cosplay.
Help. I don't know my Instagram.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for coming in. Thank all of you for listening. We will see you next time.